think that dynamic was to where he was drawn to Eve as a character, to where, it ended up how it did?
I mean, I just think that they're kind of in some way going through something similar. There's something emotional going on there. And I think, it is so powerful when we've been seeing him like trying to get out of this for so long, and all of a sudden she's asking him for advice to get in. And this is just like, it just, I'm sure it brings back some memories for him. And then, there, I feel like there is some mutual respect there too. And, you know, towards the end, they're being put in the position of like having to face each other, but they don't want to. Um, so yeah, I just love like the full circle for them, and how, they're trying to stay out of each other's space and like do it but not do it.
It was a great dynamic as far as like, like you said, one trying to leave and the other person pulling him in to where like,
Yeah.
reluctantly he had to stay there. With this franchise, this has been uh a lot of installments into this. This was the last one that we got to see Lance Reddick on screen as his role as Sharon. So how was it working with him throughout that? And do you have any memories with him? Especially, I think this was the one where he got to do his action scene that he wanted to. So what was it like having that experience with him?
It was so wonderful. I was, it was a big thing for me to step into this franchise. And one of the things that made me more comfortable and confident about, doing the right thing was to have these actors on set, because they are the movies, they belong in that world. And to have Lance and Ian in those scenes with me was so important for me personally. These are incredible actors. Lance was an incredible actor, and his energy, just his way around set, and the way he talked to people, and we had great conversations about, I don't know, family and the movies, and how I was working with Keanu in other films. And it was um it was very special. Like really, I have really nice memories of us talking and about just movies in general, other films, like cinema.
I love that. And quickly, how do you feel about taking on this role of being, the female version of John Wick when they've got to used to seeing Keanu in a way, but now, you as a female step into this role?
I love it. It makes me a little nervous, because I hope, I can give the audiences what they like, what they want, what they expect from the franchise. I did the best I could, that for sure. Um, but it feels great. It makes me proud. I feel very accomplished, and I think all of us did a great job with this film, and I can't wait for people to see it.
These movies just keep getting better and better to where, they are, we're looking at the fifth one right now.
It started off as an independent movie in 2013. Great script. I remember getting it and said, who else is going to be in it? Well, we have scripts out to Willem Dafoe, Nyquist, and we all agreed to do it. So there must have been something when you get a lot of good actors like that being in an independent movie. And when I saw the movie a year later, I was filming something in Atlanta. And I remember sneaking into the first morning, and this is 2014, and seeing it and thinking, they filmed they made the film as you read, as you wanted it to be when you read the script, which sometimes doesn't happen. And fortunately, people liked it. I think because they identified with Keanu. Also, his social media life somehow crossed over, because he is a great guy. He's a good guy and he's a solid professional, always there, always wanting one more take. And it became what it became. I don't know. These things have a life of their own. When something's a success, I think the fact that it's been the same group of people, the same group of writers and producers and director. And even in this one, I mean, Len came in to direct it because Chad was involved, but Chad was supervising. And when we did the extra news shoots, which they needed to establish the sort of intimacy of the character, I mean, the news shoot was the opening sequence when she's a child, which then informs the whole movie. You get an emotional resonance when you meet Anna later as a grown-up woman. You have a backstory, so you already have an opinion about her, much like you do about John Wick, that she's been from this Roscaroma family and whatever. And when she goes to see Winston, and and he tries to dissuade her from, I would advise you not to do this, but he also believes in free will. It's like, but I can't. I know I'm not going to stop you, which is very like a female John Wick. So they have a similarity between them, and then of course Keanu arrives in it as well. So I think it's a very smart idea, and you may bring another female demographic to see this movie, but wasn't there before.
Yeah, it was interesting. I loved the addition of Anna's character to where it was almost like a flashback, but they gave enough of a story to where she made sense in being in this role. So another person who was a part of the franchise just as long as you, this was the last on-screen appearance of Lance Reddick in his role as Sharon. So how was it like working with him, throughout this franchise to where, this was kind of the last movie that we would get to see from him?
I just said that about Lance. I mean, I miss him. We'd be doing this together normally, talking with each other. And I mean, Lance is quite a very gifted musician too, Lance. I mean, as well as being an actor, but he was quite serious. So I used to, as we say in English, take the mickey. We'd have a good time doing these together, sitting next to each other, talking about how we saw our backstories and how we saw it progressing. He always wanted to do action more than I. So I'm glad he got to do his action in series 3, episode 3. Whereas somebody actually once believed me when I said, they said, I said they cut my fight scene, and somebody said, really? What scene was that? I said, you actually believe me? I mean, Winston doesn't fight. No. Winston's a lover, not a fighter. So keep her secrets.